That's excellent news.
That's a much better track record than humanity has had with indigenous species before. Sweet.
Endeavor, you remember the the overmind of the Egregorians in Home issued a statement as head of the Egregorians that every Hycernian-born human has the right to stay here. Union established a port in Bamhonore. Bamhonore is technically still independent, but yeah, a lot of Bamhonorians left to get back into Union space and back to their old or ancestral planets. It's not their old planets technically, but where their ancestors came from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like they've all been very, very busy.
Yeah, and you also get some of the news that spread through Union space because yeah, everybody is now aware aliens exist.
Phone call, be right back.
God, I'm so loud. I feel like this is the end of like Stand By Me, where we're gonna get like freeze frame shots of each of our characters and a little text scroll about what we were doing after.
Yes, and the Deadlands are technically still under quarantine because yeah, it's deadly there.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing you also will manage to get together over the next days. Solitude went missing, and nobody knows where.
Which one was Solitude again?
I'm glad you said that first, because my little first thought was, who the fuck is Solitude?
Solitude was the overmind of the Egregorians who were totally opposed to the humans.
Okay, so he basically has just gone underground or given up because he got what he wanted.
No,
well, kind of.
He's not gone underground, he's gone. Because if he were just gone underground, the Egregorians would still have contact with him, but they don't.
I mean, technically, though, he is underground. Let's not mince words.
Yeah, but...
yeah. So that's definitely weird. I'm definitely going to blame Landmark Colonial on that, but at this point, it probably is beyond our ability to control.
Yeah.
I like to imagine Zero just writing the finishing report here. Just like, and with the territory being ceded to the Egregorians, I believe this contract is concluded.
And Dan was actually dead the whole time.
Yes, and then to jump to our final shot, the two spaceship from Union start building a permanent station in orbit, and you're transported there for transit. And while you're there, you get locked away in a room alone, and you will be interrogated by intelligence about everything that happened.
Yeah, I was about expecting that.
And then it fades to black. Fades to black.
Let me start off with the time travel.
I want to speak to my lawyers. I'm super rich.
Or should I start with the people pretending to be aliens, but there actually are aliens?
I mean, to be fair, no one's pretended to be aliens for a long time.
I believe that is actually the conclusion of the campaign, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. That's what you do when we go for assassination missions.
It's
So I guess this is the point where we unwind and consider, what did we just do? We went back in time to meet the creator of Ra, and then we're sent back into the future where he disintegrates.
Well, we didn't... No. That's not the creator of Ra. The Creator Ra was a group of scientists on Mars. If you're saying we couldn't figure out where Mars was, I mean, we would be fucking idiots.
No, the NHP in this time, Overland King Watcher is not the creator of Ra.
I
he's
know
the
Lesser's
crea-
Lesser's whole thing was about finding Ra. It's like, I know where Ra is. That's not Ra.
Gosh,
And-
imagine if Lester made it to that point.
and
Like, you found Ra's father.
Well, before I knew that the game was ending in like a couple of sessions, I had this whole thing where if Hero died, I was gonna have Napalm, the other guy, the Pyro's brother, older brother, coming down into orbit, to, hey guys, it's Napalm here. I'm happy to come meet my brother again. Hey Zero, are you there? I heard great things. Boom! Explosion. And then Lesser will be like behind you, like, hey, is this a bad time?
but Overland King Watcher, which maybe I didn't make that too clear. The children he referred to were Beggar 1, Mendicant 2, Hierophant 3, and Wonder 4.
I think, did we actually not destroy one of those names?
Oh, you destroyed 3 of those names.
Yeah, so we didn't personally deal with the fourth one.
With the second one, technically, but
Yeah, there we go, yeah.
so yeah.
I can't remember what they might have been doing.
Which
Beggar
one?
1, Beggar 1 at the beginning, the one who took
No,
over.
the one we didn't kill.
Oh, yeah. You.
Hierophant, I think.
Yeah, no, Hierophant 3 you killed in Laguna.
Yeah.
Mendicant 2,
Yeah, that one.
he's the one posing as Centellus.
Okay.
So-
So yeah, we sort of skipped straight over him and let's let him get taken over by the war.
Yeah.
Let's see. So this campaign had basically 3 parts, I think.
3 parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's investigate like each part. The first part is like we get here, we start getting involved, and then things go terrible, I believe, right?
Yes.
What was the ending point of that one? Just so I have like the full frame.
When
That
Beggar
was-
1 took over Evergreen.
Right. So everything I think in book 1 here was actually a reasonably decent mystery. And I think as we played through it, I've incidentally found 2 solutions to like the other 2 books. On one hand, we discovered the stuff in space and then eventually kind of resolved to deal with it later, but we didn't do anything in the meanwhile because we didn't think anything of it. And then we also sent the diplomats to space.
Yes.
From the GM perspective, since we haven't heard a lot of it, how do you feel we handled book 1? Like, did we miss a whole lot? Did we make a lot of stupid decisions? What were you expecting to happen or wanted to happen, but we just completely were oblivious?
I mean, there was one thing in particular you missed. You don't miss a whole lot, but one thing you particularly missed: Egregory Cross. You did nothing about it, and I
Oh
spoke
yeah.
about it for 5 times or so.
I think it just kind of kept slipping the mind. That was the
Yeah.
place that ended up getting blown up, though, wasn't it?
Yes.
Right.
But-
So I suppose we could have ended up going there and maybe formed some kind of attachment to it.
Yeah.
But instead,
no,
we went straight to Hive Home.
No, Egregory Cross didn't get blown up. The other city got blown up.
Oh, okay.
But because the troops from the other ally city retreated from Egregory Cross, they also died. Had they stayed at Egregory Cross, you would have had 200,000 troops more.
Yeah, that would have been an angle.
yeah.
Unfortunately, just completely missed it.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a dummy there.
I mean, you still managed pretty fine without those troops, but
Oh yeah. Let's see. You guys got any thoughts on book one?
Nope.
No, although I do have a thing to say about the game in general. I think I'm kind of too stupid for this whole the system and the story because I cannot seem to build mechs as cool as yours.
To be fair, I think if we had leveled up slowly, or more slowly, we would have gotten used to systems a lot faster than we did. I think if we spent more time on, like, an Everest, you know, at the very first level, and learned the whole system, and then started leveling up, we probably would have been better at this.
Yeah. I have a bit of an advantage in that this is just the kind of thing that I do and my brain works with it, but it is definitely like a lot in terms of like a system. And when you're pulling out the grappling at the end, Theta, I'm sorry, I just felt a little sorry for you.
Well, it's that I have, like, 4 bonus at free action things, dependent
I
on the
know,
order
it's
of
so much.
operations. Yeah.
I don't think anyone reasonably can be expected to keep up with all of it, but that was a good hustle.
Well,
I
it's
mean-
also the very first mech idea that I built before
Mhm.
every other game and decided I'm not going to play this till the very end, which is going to be super confusing.
I mean, the leveling up part is a little bit. I skipped some combats that were in the book because sometimes they're even super spontaneous. I had the impression I was like, no, it just wouldn't drag on and wouldn't add anything to the fear.
Mhm.
And so you had less than the average combat which is estimated per level. So, which may add to the feel of leveling fast. I
Right.
don't know.
I just mean more specifically, the more you engage with the system, the more
Yeah.
you learn the system, and
Yeah.
adding on new things all the time with our mechs leveling up and everything
Yeah.
like that. We just didn't embrace as hard, I don't think.
Yeah, so I at some point I made a decision to focus a little bit more on the narrative and do a little bit less combats, but yeah, that may it probably likely added to the.
I do
Conclusion
like how
method.
downtime just fell completely to the wayside.
What?
Downtime just completely fell off. Like, it was like a bunch of downtime at the beginning, and then nothing.
Oh my! I mean, maybe in the last 4 sessions or so we didn't have downtime, but yeah, we had downtime.
Yeah, there was like one big downtime where you guys have like a half of a
Yeah.
year to do a downtime. And then
Yeah.
before that, it was like nothing for a long time. Because then we were getting like down. In the beginning, it was like a downtime every couple of sessions. And then it really died off. And then here's half a year of downtime. And then nothing.
Here's my perspective on it. The book one has a lot of this downtime where you don't quite know what to do, but you have a lot of free options open. But by the time we get to book 3, it's clear there's a war on, we're in charge of it, and we need to strike. We're not exactly preparing for stuff as much as just like literally leading the charge. So there's like a completely difference in kind in terms of like the narrative time to be spent on things.
Yes.
I
agree.
think Hero is the richest man in the galaxy. And that Lesser probably owns this planet. Lesser took control of the system that would have been imported over to New Home, or whatever the hell it's called. And Lesser is in with the other NHP that runs the human side of things. I'm pretty sure that Lesser is just walking around in a stealth suit, living the high life.
Yeah, given what we know now, Lesser as a character and their goals are are actually completely contradictory to the intended party goals of the campaign.
Yeah, I mean, could have
That
been
was just kind
conceivable.
of incidental. That's not like your fault or anything. You just picked the concept that like actually worked against everyone.
Could have been conceivable that Lesser could have been a big bad to you guys at the end.
Hmm.
Like, oh wow, this is the NHP that runs everything and is like super powerful and controls time travel. Gonna hack it, and then I'm gonna make you two fight each other in your mechs by hacking you two too.
Let's see. When book 2 rolled around, we went really fast through that one. Because that was supposed to be like us on the run from Beggar 1, basically.
Wait,
I think I feel we had an entirely different trajectory in that scenario than probably what is intended in the book.
I mean, partly yes, because some books can't foresee everything.
Hmm.
And yeah, by the book timeline, you're supposed to stumble on Laguna way later than you did, but whatever. So
Yeah,
I
we went
moved
out, we
stuff
did
around.
scouting, we learned stuff. And we also, well, I'm more thinking like the way the Beggar 1 thing happened.
Yeah.
Beggar 1 kind of just like appeared and took over the city, and on one hand I feel like, oh, this is our fault because like we set this up with Lesser and now it happened. But that's probably just like straight up written in the book, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it feels a little awkward, the way he like just pops in and takes over.
Well, it happened
Because
when
it
we
kind of
weren't
like
there,
assumes
right?
everyone just kind of like goes completely blind for a minute and just lets him.
Well, no, because it happened while we weren't there, right?
I mean, we were literally like at the gate dealing with refugees.
Well, no, it happened while we were out fighting a fight somewhere. We came
No,
back
we were,
and he was
we
there.
were literally like on the bridge, like right next to the city, dealing with the refugees and trying to stop a crisis.
Well,
And
he
then
also
within like that 20-minute span, like Beggar 1 gets in, takes over, and all the
No.
synths are now in his control.
well, he also had
No, no, no.
control of the NHP that ran the city because he had the access
Yes.
codes, so he could just do whatever anyway.
Yes, it wasn't right now. I mean, it maybe I didn't make it clear enough, but I said, yeah, Patience was in a strange sleep or a state of awareness for some weeks, but it's tough to make something draw spotlight into stuff like this in RPGs without
Without
making
making
it
it super
hyper real.
obvious. Yeah,
Yes.
it's the golden bookshelf thing.
So so yeah, this was building up for weeks, and before Lesser retired, I was asking in the Lancer Discord, okay, I have here a hacker with 2 NHPs and 1 HP is the god, and how should I handle this whole Beggar 1 thing? And we discussed how Lesser maybe could prevented it, but then Lesser went MIA, so you had nobody there who had the skills
Yeah,
to
Lesser
prevent
is both like a probable cause and also the only defense, and we just lost it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was ultimately okay with like what had happened because we just didn't have a defense for it.
Yeah.
Um,
But I mean, that's something where I'm not sure how to handle this with pre-scripted adventures and everything. But that's basically an event that happens. There is
Yeah.
no way in the book around this happening.
yeah.
Well, I mean, we could have stopped it, really, but I mean,
If
we
did, like, a lot
mine.
of preparation and guesswork and like sort of had an idea to do it. I think I was even saying like, yeah, just cut off like all outside communication, and that probably would have done it if we actually kept to it instead,
Well, yeah, I mean,
or
like
something
you said,
goofy like that.
if Lesser was still around, Lesser would have been on top of it from the get-go because Lesser was constantly messing around with Patience. So, but the fact that I decided that, hey, everything I'm doing with Lesser is basically taking away from the rest of the game.
But yeah, you're right. There should be ways to prevent this logically, but in the book there are none.
I mean,
Yeah.
technically, I think if I had continued the path Lesser was on, Lesser would have prevented it. by basically being Beggar One. Lesser takes over the city herself, and Beggar One comes in and his codes don't work because Lesser's done it all
We
already.
just like zoom into Lesser in like a computer room, and he just like goes, "I'm in."
I mean, in
But yeah.
my off-time version of Lesser, Lesser somehow found out about the stone summer way ahead of you, and that it was built to find Ras, and Lesser really wanted to find Ras, so she just went off and forgot about Evergreen and everything there.
Yeah,
And
it makes
nobody
sense.
know.
I mean, in my thing, if Lesser had come back, if Hero had died, that Lesser would have been. You know how Lesser was in that underground home city, trying to make a connection back to Evergreen and form up the NHPs into like a super network and everything. My whole thing would have been that the rod from heaven, whatever it was, that destroyed everything. Lesser barely survives in the underground city for a while, comes back, it destroys her communications network. She's just been wandering around in the wilderness, invisible. Like, god damn it, this place is a mess. I can't get out of
Yeah,
here.
we have like a whole planet full of wilderness, and we're supposed to find one invisible person? Yeah, Lester's just gone. We can't stop her. In terms of the scenario though, with like Beggar One taking over, from there, I'm really curious what the book actually thinks like the players are going to do about it, because I see like a dozen different possible options. One of them obviously being like, well, you just kind of accept Beggar One's orders now or something. Or does it plan that like you're just like slightly semi-imprisoned within the city? I got literally imprisoned, which is a different aspect, but like just saying, just keep them here, and then Beggar One does whatever it wants until you escape.
Yeah. The other branching begins. It's you could have also been underground when all this stuff happens. So,
Mhm.
but
Yeah, it could have been somewhere else entirely.
yeah, but you chose to be in Evergreen. So, and also you tried to go against Patience One, so you got literally imprisoned. But
Mhm.
yeah, the book more or less, if you're in Evergreen, expects you to escape and form up with Home and invade Beggar One's hive.
Yeah, and we already basically had that going from book one already, so we just immediately leaned on that and probably skipped half the scenario where we're supposed to build that up some more.
I mean, yeah, but the other path, of course, is going to the space station and destroying it from orbit.
Which path
Which
has
we
us
already had
just
a handle on too.
say which path just has us self-destruct our mechs right next to Patience? Because I mean that was talked about for a while. That wasn't just a thing we didn't do.
Yeah, I think that was like almost half of a plan I was thinking of doing until I just went into the building instead.
I mean, we were on our way to do it until Arcloid decided, hey, I'm just going to instantly decide Prison Break.
Prison breaks are fun.
I mean, you are playing the character that looks like he's from Prison Break.
I gotta
He
admit,
is
that
from
was
prison.
definitely the goofiest moment, just watching you two try to figure out what to do on very basic premises and orders, with in fact information working in your favor,
Well, because I was
and
playing.
then just bashing a door.
Well, I was playing a joke because my guy is super, super military guy. So he's just taking whatever you say is super literal. I'm gonna follow the orders.
I know, you two are playing like two slightly dense individuals, and it's just a comedy of errors from there. And this is why the team probably needed Zero. But yeah, we kind of like breezed straight through book two.
I'm not sure if it's really breezed. I guess it feels faster because it was more straightforward. But
Well, I mean, like we did it like a very small number of sessions compared to like I think the time we spent on book one, right?
no, I think if we watch the videos, it should be comparable.
Wait, was book 2 where Zero couldn't figure out which way the river was?
Yes, that was part of it. Yes.
God, that was so annoying at the time. Like, Griff, the river is right here. We can get out the river. You're like, shut up, Theta. I know what I'm doing. Like, are you sure though? Are you sure that you know?
I mean, this is why I tried to ask it. I guess I just wasn't clear enough, but it's my bad.
I literally would not shut up about where the river was. And you're like, no, we're going this way. I'm like, why though?
Oh, we had some fun, didn't we? Let's see.
Yes, it was like a second session of book 2.
Hmm. But yeah, we still, yeah, it was pretty straightforward, but I think that's mostly just because we had all the answers already ready for us.
We also had an immediate goal. So when you get goal-oriented, things go by quicker.
Yeah, rather than just like defend the settlement, it's like, all right, how do we determine our next threat? How do we identify these threats and like stop them ahead of time?
Or rather,
There was no way we were going to identify OKKO with this kind of ending, though.
that our goals were game-defined and not us-defined. Like, Lesser could have existed completely in Book 1, because Lesser just kept coming up with player-defined goals and not game-defined goals.
Yeah.
I am watching more Matthew Colville videos right now, and one video I watched yesterday is about verbs, good verbs and bad verbs. And says, one bad verb to give players is find something, because finding something. How do you do that? I mean, nobody of us is a real life investigator, or most people aren't. And if you find something, what do you do then? And so it's not a clear objective. And with this, in the beginning, with this protect objective, it was okay, we just hang around here and wait. But then in starting
Yeah,
with
the waiting, that would be the word to focus on.
Yeah. And so, but that meant in the waiting time, you were like, okay, what we're supposed to do? We don't know. I mean, you managed pretty well for that, but I feel somehow this could be improved, but I'm not sure how. So in retrospective.
Yeah, I'd have to like do some solid thinking here, but yeah, with the player goal of being wait here and defend, it's very much like an expectation, I guess, that things are going to be like an episodic set of scenarios or something.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the expectation that needs to be built, but that's also not how it actually unfolds anyway. So,
oh shit.
I'm not actually sure how I would handle that.
I just realized something.
Showbiz
is alive! Fucking cloning, man! I forgot about it!
Oh.
Remember, everybody gets one.
I think you just kind of declined to because you wanted to play your next character, but yeah, I guess he's out there.
Right, well, no, I didn't decline to. I just completely forgot. I completely forgot about it and just leaned on the fact that I wanted to play a new character. But Showbiz is still out there. Printer's working.
And Showbiz is like, here's all the stuff Zero did wrong.
Yeah, more stuff for the trial.
I thought I got you killed. Now your evidence.
Yeah, when Hero goes up on stage, he pointed a missile at me. And then Showbiz is like, yeah, that fits in with his character. Let me tell you a few things.
Let's see. And then I guess we have book 3. Book 3 also has like a very direct objective. We have like a feeling of having like a lot of resources and powers. There are a bunch of individual objectives like try to take care of. I think we kind of just ignored the subaltern armies until they actually did something, though.
Yeah.
I feel like they had some purpose, and we just kind of didn't see what it was.
The subaltern armies were still part of Book 2. So that's why I say Book 2 is about as long as Book 1 for you. And the subaltern armies, you supposed by the official book timeline to do that before Laguna.
Okay, so what we ended up doing is we went for the Hail Mary, let's just go ahead and launch the tungsten rod at them and take it out, instead of actually fighting the armies and dealing with them directly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, hey, we completely circumvented part of the campaign, everybody. Woo.
I mean, the subalterns, the Marsh Alpha which you then fought.
Mhm.
You remember?
Yeah,
Oh.
we did fight one of them, but the other two just kind of dissipated, I suppose.
Yeah.
We did find Laguna ahead of time. We even set up ahead of time to deal with it. And we got some payout from that too.
Yeah.
And then we got the information, then just went for the assassination at the end. I guess the alternate possible way to have played the campaign would have been to continue up to St. Telos and take that out as well. But given like the amount of resources and momentum we had, it seems like it would just kind of like be a matter of time. I don't think there's a lot that would actually really stop us, is there?
No. I mean, even without you, it wasn't that time.
Mhm.
They still had some surprises left, like Kilea bombers. Remember, the Marsh Alpha had its nuclear bombers. Santelos also had some in store, hidden. But
Oh boy. That would have been fun to try to stop.
but yeah, it's mostly at that part. If you, a lot depends on how you manage part 2, and you did well in the battles leading up to that, and so you won Laguna, which then allows you to really separate Ben Honore and Santelos. If you don't manage to do that, the battles in part 3 are much fiercer. And
Yeah, that would have been a little problematic there.
so yeah. Oh, yeah. That's one possibility, so yeah.
So yeah,
And
I
so
think I had a lot of fun with this.
So part 3 was really, really short because yeah, the Battle of Laguna is technically end of part 2, and then the negotiations are part 3, and
And
yes.
then of course the ending of part 3. Man, they really wanted to throw a curveball at the end there. I see why, because like the Horus elements are like some of the most out there elements of like this setting, right? It basically kind of deals with like a whole. I'm trying to remember if there was like a philosophical term that described it best, but basically like nothing really exists unless you will it into existence or you actually see it or something. So they're weird, and this kind of brings a little bit of them into it, I think. But it's kind of like really at the tail end and very few hints of it. I think it really was just like an attempt to showcase it and say like this is what you could do with a campaign. Which I mean for the first one that they're putting out for a brand new system, yeah, they probably need to do a little bit of that.
I mean, maybe it's partly on me, but there were hints. I mean, this whole Beggar 1, and then you joked back then, yeah, there must be a Beggar 2 and Beggar 3, and I was like, yeah, maybe you're getting on, but not Beggar, but so all his children of OK, so there were some hints coming up, but yeah, I admit there were not too dense, but of course that the chase for OK leads you in a whole nother timeline. That wasn't really predicted.
Yeah, no, I don't think anyone could predict that. Initially it seemed like OK was actually going to be the antagonist, but instead not. It's like the initial information we got like in book 1 from the farm is that like OK is out here, it hates all humans, and it's coming for you. Also, it's controlling all the subalterns, and it's
Yes.
trying to take over more. Like it was the one that's supposed to be acting here, or at least that's the information we got.
Yeah, I mean, basically what happened behind the veil, OK was deeply cascading, and every one of Beggar 1 and so on was one shard of it which split at a certain time. And so OK's personality shifts over the time, and he tries to win the old war, and every child exhibits another personality of his. And so the hate personality was then in Wonder 4, the youngest child, which came into existence after you first contact OK. And so OK's personality at the end is in a different stage of cascading.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, wait a second. My brain just stopped. Who was Kingmaker?
The main initial AI of the scenario.
Yeah, but who
No,
was
he-
Kingmaker?
You mean OK, Overwatch Kingmaker?
Yeah, okay, that's the problem. Is that when you first introduced it, you said Kingmaker, and that's all I've thought of its name for now. And every time you said, like, OK or something, I have no idea where the fuck they came from, because all I remember is
I might be at
Kingmaker.
fault for putting that into your brain too, because I just simplified it down so I could remember it.
Because I remember Lester was all about Kingmaker. We're gonna go out and talk to Kingmaker. I'm gonna get Kingmaker on my side. And it's like, these guys start saying, like, OK and all these things. Like, who the hell is OK? I mean, Kingmaker is a strong name. OK is what you call a corral.
But yeah, so there's like a whole story here of like an NHB family, but it really is hard to dig out because it's very hard to talk to them. I guess Beggar 1, like at book 2, would be like a possible source to actually like sit down and get like a info dump of it somewhat.
Well, I mean, Lester talked to Kingmaker in book 1.
But he's also trying to wipe out aliens, and that's no good.
Yeah.
But it does explain like their sudden shift from like we're trying to destroy them all to and we're actually working with them all along.
No, OK never worked with the. I mean, OK.
Yeah,
Mandy
different
can-
NHBs work
Yeah,
with them
yeah.
or hate them,
Yeah,
and we
yes.
just got the ones that did, and we assumed they were all a homogenous force.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I guess that's the part that never really became clear, that they were all actually different forces, and not just like one set of antagonists. That's the hard part to discern, I think. And I think that actually drove a lot of the decision making here. Like, obviously they're all well coordinated and working together. Why would you do an innovation like this without it? It's like, no, they're just a bunch of AI goofballs. That's what it was.
I mean, that's also. I mean, things always look different from the outside and from the inside. So,
Mhm.
and of course, from the outside, you see this unified war front. But only later you found out that, yeah, Bam Honore and Centellus, they have different goals and beliefs. And
Yeah, I think maybe if we like stuck around like on our investigative mission to the other continent, maybe we could have gotten more indication of that. But I feel like after a point we just kind of went, all right, these guys are just crazy, and we left. And we're just like, that's all the explanation we needed.
That's also a detour from the book. By the book, the satellite is like a peek into book 2, but you're not supposed to go there. But I asked in the Discord, and they said, yeah, every group, when they see the satellite picture or hear about it, they want to go to the other continent. This should be really handled differently in the book, because you can't get groups to just wait on what's on the other continent once you showed it to them that it exists.
It's a cool space thingy. Of course I want to see the space thingy.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Lost, right? It's like Lost, you find out there's a second island, and it's like, wait, what? Let's go over there. What's on the second island?
what's this mysterious smoke? You'll find out in book 3. It's like, no, this smoke is kind of threatening. Let's figure that out.
Well, it's also like finding out there's satellites we could use this whole time. It's like, well, I'm just gonna hack into the satellites. You can't. Well, why not? Also, if there's space stations up there, why don't the satellites know about the space stations? It's all this stuff I would have known by book 1 if all of it was in the same book.
Yeah, I think like with various levels of precognition, it'd be very easy to destabilize the entire narrative of this campaign that it's trying to establish.
Well, we could have beat this whole game in book 1 if everything was in book 1, because like they introduce you to the satellite network. Well, okay, I'll use the satellites to recon for me. Okay, I see everything. Also, there's space stations up there. Well, why don't we go to space stations? See what the hell's up with that?
I mean, you knew about these space stations in book 1, but you presumed they were really not functioning anymore. Like,
No.
Old,
No.
non-functioning, useless.
Untrue. I was trying to interact with the satellite network entirely, and I kept being told you couldn't do it. So it's like,
I think like one of our earliest attempts was literally to try to send a signal to it and get a response to see if it was working, and the answer was nope, not working. It's like, oh, okay.
yeah, but sorry, that's different layers. One is the
Mhm.
space stations, one is the satellite, and one is communication. And
Yeah.
when you destroyed Bagger 1, you got he blocked the satellites, and when you so you got more pictures, and when you destroyed Hierophant 3, he blocked communication, so you couldn't communicate because an NHP was actively blocking it.
right, but we had satellite access before Beggar 1.
Yes, but he scrambled most of the pictures. So
Which probably is good on his part. It's space technology, that's fine. Probably a good idea for defense.
Yeah. That's
yeah.
why you didn't, or why the satellite didn't catch that there are 2 big cities on the other continent.
Well, no,
Yeah.
the satellite did catch that. That's how we knew it was there. The one satellite we could communicate with took pictures of it. And then I used that satellite to communicate with Kingmaker. And I'm just saying, though, if I had known about anything else being up there, instantly would have gone up there. That's the same thing that Griff's character operates on, height advantage. Space is the ultimate height advantage.
Yeah, but we already talked about this a month or 2 ago, that some things just got lost in communication. I told
Mhm.
Griffin before the satellite that there are old space stations. And I said they are presumed to all be defunct or lost in decaying orbit.
Yeah,
But-
so I think like at least in my mind, I put that aside as like a repair project we'll have to end up doing, not like, oh, they actually have like 2 functioning tungsten rods. Look out.
Well, I don't mean that as
would've been
I don't mean that as a weapons platform. I just mean like even if they were just, hey, we can launch out of here and go anywhere on the planet. It's literally it's information advantage. It's deportation advantage. It's literally every advantage you could ever want. This isn't a complaint. This is just a very emphatically stated fact.
Yeah, I think like what the campaign probably does best to try to prevent shenanigans and interruptions would be the shuttle situation, which, as Teal-chan pointed out, there's not really one that just hangs out on the planet ready to go, and fueling them up might be a waste of resources in some situations. Because a lot of the tension in the scenario is, wait a second, you only have a limited amount of time, and the printer's busy doing things. Are you sure you want to fuel a shuttle instead of, like, actually arming people?
I mean, I remember I argued for the shuttle.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, getting a ship in the first place was, like, part A that we generally didn't have. I called one in, but for, like, a completely different purpose.
Though we did have a printer that could print mech-sized things. But that war criminal Zero decided no.
I got Showbiz a plane. That's what really matters.
Yeah, and he spent half of a year in it, away from you. You really showbiz? You can do anything. It's like half a year. Do any. Yeah, I'm gonna stay in the
Imagine
plane.
being on a job, but your job is just to fly around for fun for 6 months. What a vacation.
Showbiz, you've seen everything. There's nothing left to see.
Showbiz,
Yeah,
you
I'm
did
just staying out
scouting,
here.
right? It's like, yeah, of course I did. I showed off a whole bunch.
It's the best skill.
It's a very goofy skill.
Well, look, it's showing off if you're good at it. When you fail, it's not showing off. It's being an idiot.
I think there's probably like some critical thinking that needs to go into like how the skill system actually is, because I guess with the way it is, there's like a lot of broadness to it that everything kind of overlaps into the same space. Where, you're just kind of rolling the thing you have the biggest number for, instead of like having a critical skill that's actually needed to make the check
I mean,
or something.
to be fair, you didn't see my best skill. Doing things.
Wow.
I got a +6 in doing things. It's the only skill I'm rolling from now on, by the way.
Of course.
I mean,
but it's
certain
functional as far as it goes, at least.
to a certain extent, the overlap, which is fine, and but some really don't overlap that much. I mean,
Mhm.
if you want to act unseen and unheard, you need that skill. But
Yeah.
with something like the talking skills or like skill challenges, that's on purpose. Tell me how you do it, and your approach determines the trigger.
I mean,
And
to
then,
be
of course,
fair,
you-
acting unseen and unheard, probably the exact opposite of the showing off skill.
And I mean, but with some of the more talky triggers, it overlaps. And there were some suggestions in the Discord that if you have a lot of overlapping triggers, that you get an additional advantage for having that. So, but
That's kind of interesting then.
it wasn't like official, but yeah. I mean,
Yeah, a suggestion, an idea that maybe could be like expanded upon in some way.
I mean, with talking skills, it's always a little bit hard. Where do you distinguish them? Do you have like one, like two, or so? Is it lying and pleasant-ish interaction? Is it diplomacy and charming? And yeah, however you draw the line, you can't cut it clear because social interaction is one of the most complicated stuff on earth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really painful when you build a social character, but you're a dick in real life, so it never comes across right. Well, I say this to him, and then I want to roll to emphasize that I said it in a good way. I was like, well, no, you said it in a bad way. So I'm going to take how you said it.
I mean, that's at the core of every role-playing character. The more you try to play something you're not, the more the group has to be understanding that your character and the player are distinct and
Yeah.
to be.
Well, I mean, it's escapism, right? I'm here because the life sucks already, and I want a life that doesn't suck.
And I mean, that's some GMs really like throwing puzzles, and puzzles challenge the player, never the character. And I mean, some people love puzzles, some hate them. But if you play a super smart character, but you're only average intelligence in real life, then the puzzle will be hard, but it should be easy for the character and stuff like that. Okay, if you play an intelligent character, go ahead and roll. Yes, he figures out stuff you would never do in real life, but like Fedra said, escapism. It's harder or depends on group style with social interactions. I mean, some groups don't roll, they just play, some roll more. So.
All right. Well, I think overall, I still had fun with the system and the campaign and the way you ran it. I think everything turned out pretty good in the end, really.
Yeah.
I enjoyed myself, even though I sucked at this.
Oh, it's you had quite some critical shots beside your suckage.
So let's see. So what's the plan that we're gonna work on next then? I think you were thinking of running like Fractaturnium.
Oh, no, I will talk. I will take a break as a GM and tone it down a little bit for the next time. And
Okay.
so you have 2 slots open. Theta talked, said some other GM thought about running Lancer, so I
No,
hope this
you
works.
misunderstood that completely.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I was saying he wanted to join Lancer, and then
Oh,
I
he-
heard from Griff that we only had like 3 games left. I was like, oh, okay. Or you said it. I can't remember. Somebody told. I came to you. It was like Fui was super interested in Lancer, and then
Oh.
nothing else came from that. You didn't.
Oh.
You didn't respond at all.
Okay, because I thought he wanted to run it. Ah.
Nope.
All
No.
right, everyone, new Lancer campaign started from the top.
Okay. Yes, I.
No, he was interested in
Yes,
playing, or I mentioned that you were thinking about running Frag, and he said, "Oh, I'll keep an eye out for that." So I guess neither of those things.
Yeah, yeah. I just reread what you wrote. So yeah, it could have been read that he wants to give Lancer a try, and because he said GM in my head, it was like, yeah, he wants to be GMing Lancer. But yeah, of course, it meant he wants to play. Yeah, reading failure on my part. But I mean, a campaign like this, joining at the end, would be even more.
Well, like I said, I didn't know that we were at the end until after I
Oh,
meant.
dear. I'm trying to envision it now. He comes in, joins the campaign. We hop into a time bubble. Oh no.
Yeah, it's a okay. Then I mean, I will stay around, so we may have another chance to play together in the future. But for now,
Go ahead and like enjoy a little GM break and have a good Christmas too.
yes, thank you. You too.
Thank you. And keep us up to date if you want to set up anything next.
Yeah.
All right. So for now, I'll catch you later, guys.
See you.
Yeah.
Thank you for running.
See you around.